Hey everyone, Matt has been gracious enough to do 4 topics with us this morning. And again, all these topics are what are the negative surprises to the downside? If you've watched any of them before, this is my buddy Jimbo. He's my dog. He's the one whining in the background, being a huge pain in the butt. I apologize. It's not me, it's him. So I just wanted to say that. Matt, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Mike. How are you? And Jimbo's doing okay. He's having a tough morning. It's all right though.
Yeah,
We all have those.
he is. That's well said. He is having a tough morning, but he looks cute
It's all
when he's just
He's couldn't be more handsome. Couldn't be more handsome.
I appreciate that. So, hey, this is the topic that you brought up earlier, and there's another YouTube entertainer out there that's spouting nonsense, and you're like, "Dude, we got to talk about this." And this is what happens if the loan workouts don't work. So why don't we define a loan workout first, and let's highlight what it means by doesn't work.
Sure. So last time in in '08, as you know, they did loan workouts, but
Yep.
the requirements were you had to be working.
Mhm.
You had to have some equity in the house,
Mhm.
and the banks would work with you to give you a lower rate so you could afford the payment so you could stay in the house.
Mhm.
The challenge is, and what we talked about in the first video of, 24 months of forbearance,
Yeah.
is that I did the math real quick and just said, a typical, $300,000 home where I'm from,
Mhm.
your mortgage payment with taxes and everything else, taxes and more, and, principal and interest and everything is going to be about $2,000 a month.
Mm.
Well, that's $24,000 a year.
Yeah.
And if you're talking 2 years now, it's $48,000.
Oh,
If you
Jesus.
bought that house in 2018 and got the 15% appreciation, right, from let's say let's say 250 to 300 or 260 to 300,
Mhm.
the problem is that you've now got $48,000 in forbearance.
Mhm.
Number one. Number two is you might still not have a job,
Yeah.
possible,
Possible. Yeah.
um, but it's going to take you 8% if you, and the idea is with these entertainers is, well, but you could just sell your house. Yeah, well, you just can't,
Yeah.
because you're going to owe $48,000 and you're going to be writing a check to sell that house. Just based on the quick math, $300,000 minus the $48,000 for the 2 years of forbearance is $252, minus the average 8% costs to get closed.
Mhm.
That's off the 300, not off the 252.
Yeah.
So it's 8% of the 300. So now you're talking another 24 grand. Now you're at 220 and change.
Yeah.
And that's if there's no repairs. So you bought the house in 2018 for 250. Now
Mhm.
just to sell it, you're going to end up at 220, 225. And again, if you don't have all these other things in place, a job and a lot of these other qualifications that they look out to work out these loans with you,
Mhm.
they're just going to put you in foreclosure.
Yeah,
That's what they do.
that is one of the big risks, right? One of the things that I see different this time is banks are being more flexible, right?
Agreed.
But they're still going to have criteria. If you
Right.
don't have a job, you're not getting a workout. Period.
That's right.
You
That's
know,
right.
unless you
And
have a lot of money in the bank or something, which I'm sure you've already, lost. But yeah, if you don't have a job, you're not getting a workout. And that's real. And
that's
and
right.
that's not going to change, right? The banks are going to make the rules.
And what most people don't tell you is that if you are on like an SSI or your stimulus payments or you're on unemployment, none of that counts towards your income.
Yeah,
None of that counts towards your income.
that's
So they're
crazy.
going to look at what you're actually bringing in yourself, not unemployment, not a program, not any of those things. It's just what you're bringing in for income. Well, if you're on those things, likely you don't have 1,000, 2,000, whatever dollar income. That stuff's counted in the beginning when you're buying, but it's not counted when they're trying to do a workout.
Yeah. Do you have any gut feel? Because let's just play this out. Let's say, because I think the numbers right now is 3.2 million. Let's just round it to
Yep.
3 for easier math.
Sure.
When you look at the 3 million and you kind of daisy chain it to yourself, how many folks do you think, and again, we'll do it round numbers, so 10, 20, 30, 40,
Sure.
50% will end up in either a short sale or foreclosure? Have you ever, I'm sure you've done the estimates. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think, I tend to agree with auction.com's findings, which is they believe there's going to be between 2.5 and 3.5 million foreclosures, but it's going to be over a 4-year span.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
And
well,
so if you
we
split,
learned that last time, right? Because everybody who thinks it's going to happen tomorrow doesn't know math. Because
nope,
it took
exactly. Well,
1,700 days to foreclose in Vegas last time.
yeah, what's really funny is, do you know what the record right now is foreclosure in Hawaii, where they're
No,
having some troubles? It's 2,400 days.
dude, that's 8 years.
I know. I know. It's like it's 7, yeah, 7, almost 8 years. Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, you can live for
2,400
free.
days.
You can live
Yeah.
for free for 8 years.
2,400 days is the average time that it takes to foreclose in Hawaii. What's that tell you? I'm not sure I want to own a Hawaii.
Yeah. It's certainly
Or
not a
maybe,
rental.
or right. Or maybe I do. But one of the things that people forget is in 08, 9, and 10, and I don't think that the other entertainers out there are really looking at these numbers. It was 2.3 million foreclosures in 08, 2.8 in 09, and 2.9 in 2010.
Yeah.
That just right there is 8 million foreclosures in a 3-year span.
And that's
They're
only
talking now.
foreclosures, right? Just to be clear, that's only
That's only foreclosures.
not short
That's right.
sales.
That's not short sales. That's only foreclosures. So then you take that number and you say, okay, that's 8 million. Well, how many more years do you think it took to get below 1 million foreclosures? It took 5 more years
Oh, wow.
to get below 1 million. It was 2016, I think, 2016 before they got under
Wow.
1 million foreclosures a year. That's how long it takes that stuff to work through the system.
Yeah. So let's play this out. So again, if loan workouts don't work to kind of this point, I think what I'm hearing you say is we're going to bleed foreclosures for years, just
Yes.
frankly, just like last time.
Yep. Yeah. I think honestly, based on the numbers that I'm seeing now, it doesn't indicate that we have any single year at the same levels that we had in 08, 9, and 10. I think the banks learned their lessons.
Yeah.
And those years were, again, 2.3, 2.8, and 2.9 in 8, 9, and 10. So right now they're looking at 2.5 to 3.5. Let's just call it 4. Well, if you have 4 million foreclosures, but it's over a 4-year span, 21 to 25, it's only 1 million homes a year. That's inventory.
Yeah.
Because
again,
last year in 2020, I think we did 5.4 million homes in the US market.
Yeah.
So that's 20%.
Yeah. That's not going to crush the market by itself. The other thing I'm curious is
local markets.
exactly.
So San Francisco, New York, they're likely going to feel the brunt of that. Maybe LA.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. Is unlike last time where this wave just swept the United States and everybody felt something. I really do think this is going to be very regionalized. But if you're in a market that is cascading and building, it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt for a while.
Yes.
Yeah. So be careful, right? If you're in the number one market for me, that's all kinds of red flags is San Francisco, right?
Totally agree with you.
Tech is leaving. They're taxing I mean, just stupid policy things. And I think San Francisco is in trouble for a decade. But if you want to look at the silver lining, it's going to be cheaper to own and cheaper to rent in San Francisco in 3 or 4 years.
If you are in San Francisco or want to be in San Francisco, it's a party. It's going to be great for you. I mean, but to your point, I think there's going to be a ton of pain there over probably a decade. And I think that new normal is going to be a really difficult thing to handle, because I think, to your point, you and I both have tech backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, working from home, and the fact that there's now a ton of talent in Texas.
Yeah.
There's now a ton of talent in North Carolina, Florida, Miami, targeting tech. There's all these areas now that are targeting tech because they realize that those are really good jobs. Those people spend money and they get on the property ladder and they climb it.
Yeah. Yeah. The big reason I think San Francisco loses is because we're not going to be cycling in the next generation, right?
Agreed.
The next, graduates from MIT or Caltech or, whatever smart college. That's what's going to kill us, because they're going to go to Tennessee or Florida or Phoenix or Vegas or Austin. And that's going to be the hole in the balloon that really takes San Francisco down long term. But again, if you want to live in the city and you want the artsy stuff, it's coming back. It's 4 or 5 years away, because you got to get to the bottom before you can rebuild.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be a huge brain drain.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this has been a lot of fun. This has been a lot of fun, man. I always appreciate talking with you. And again, this is kind of 4 surprises. Any closing thoughts on this one?
No, as always, appreciate the time. Good luck to the listeners. And like I said, do your homework, because that's the only way to avoid these pitfalls.
There you go, brother. Take care of yourself. Thanks again.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Mike.